Hey everyone, it's Mr. Miles. I'm going to give you a quick video that gives you the lay of the land for this coming week. Since I won't be here, you'll know what to expect and what it's due each day and kind of what my expectations are for each day. For the most part, it's going to be pretty straightforward. You're going to read Beowulf, you're going to answer some questions about it. You're going to do a project, just a small little project on it. Once you finish that, you should have Friday to just kind of turn in your project and start the Beowulf movie. So that should be pretty much it. So let me just give you kind of the lay of the land. First off, there is no vocab, there is no grammar this week. If you didn't know that already, there is no vocab, there is no grammar, so don't worry about it. Talking about your night essay, your final drafts, my goal is to give you feedback on those tomorrow if I can. Try to get your feedback all to everybody tomorrow, at least everyone who's turned in a rough draft. That way you can go back, be working on them, fixing, retooling, whatever you need to do, kind of following my guidance in terms of what you need to fix. And then you turn in your final drafts on Tuesday by midnight. So that'll be due in both Google Classroom and Turnitin.com as well. So that's the goal for you, the kind of stuff that is kind of left over. All right. Now let's talk about going ahead, moving ahead. What do we have to do? So first off, you are going to need a purple book. You're going to need a purple textbook. They are all on the back bookshelf. I have more than enough for the entire class. So you cannot read Beowulf if you do not have a purple textbook. Now, that's not entirely true because I also posted on Google Classroom the full text from the purple book. So if you want to read that via the PDF, you can. It wouldn't be my first choice. And the reason being simply because reading from a book makes you slow down. I think the tendency is when we read with a PDF, our eyes just kind of scan the page and we don't really necessarily take as much in as we would if we were reading a book. So read it from the purple book. I've got more than enough for everybody. So your goal is for every day, you're going to read just a section from Beowulf. Okay. Once you read whatever section you've been assigned that day, you go back to Google Classroom and you notice I've got questions. Okay. Just Google Classroom questions for you to respond to. Short answer format, citing text evidence, answer the question completely. It's an easy daily grade if you do it. It's an easy zero if you don't. And I, would really love it if you wouldn't get zeros. That'd be personally what I'd appreciate. So just answer the questions, cite the text evidence, and just do that for each day. Okay. Each day we'll have a different question. You'll have to answer it. You'll have to obviously have read the text first and be able to cite text evidence that supports your answer. Okay. So just think of them like short constructed responses, about a paragraph or so for each question. And that's all you got to do for each day that we're reading Beowulf in class. Okay. So that's it for the first 3 days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Once Wednesday ends, that'll take you through the end of the poem. And you can probably go ahead and get started on working on your project. Now, the project is the Beowulf one pager. The Beowulf one pager, which is this thing right here. If you've never done a one pager before, it's essentially just a combination of visual and text coming together to show me that you have at least surface level understanding of what happens in the text and what is important in the text. Okay. Here I'll show you an example of a couple one pagers from the past. I've got a whole folder of them, and I'll actually leave these out with Mr. Blackwood. So in case you want to look for a reference, he can pass these out and you can kind of look at it, see what they do, see what quotes, maybe kind of stand out to them. What I do not want you to do, what you cannot do, is just trace over it or copy, word for word, image by image what they do. But so here's an example of one. You have the map of Sweden. You've got a sword, another sword. Let me see if I can find some. This one, okay, more like a comic strip. That's okay. It's totally cool. You'll notice they are full of color, full of pictures. There is hardly any white space in these one pagers. And that's by design. That's the point. The point is to fill up the entire page with what you know about Beowulf. Okay. So, what it's going to look like, what you have to include are obviously the title of the text. Normally, when doing a one page, you would also include the author, but we don't know the author. It's an unknown author, so we can just skip that for now. At least 3 illustrations of character, scenes, symbols, items, settings from the text. So if you want to include the swamp where he fights Grendel's mother, you want to include the mead hall, Heorot, okay, where Grendel attacks King Hrothgar and everybody. Okay, you can do that. At least 3 images of something pertaining to the text. Okay, and if you want to trace an image from the computer, that's fine. I mean, again, not everybody's going to be an artist, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I'm not grading it from artistic ability. Okay, I'm not trying to see who my best artists are and grade them according to that. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking to see, can you at least try to visually represent something from the text? Okay, at least try your best. All right. And then give me at least 3 quotations from the text that are notable or important. They should be punctuated correctly, cited appropriately. In other words, in-text citations. Okay. Now, the quotations part of a character's dialogue specify which character is saying it. So the example, Beowulf, colon, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And when you cite things in Beowulf, you want to cite them like according to line numbers. Because it is an epic poem, you want to cite things according to the lines they come into. Okay. So like loud in the hall, the harps rejoicing, call the poets clear songs. Okay. So if I'm citing that, then that would be lines 4 and 5. So it would be the in-text citation, Beowulf 4 through 5. Okay. You don't have to specify that they're line numbers. I already know they're line numbers. You just have to give me the line range that you're using to give me this quote. Okay. So give me the in-text citation for that. For each of your quotes, you're not just going to parachute them in there and just let them be. You're going to have to actually explain the significance of each quote that you include in every single quotation that you put in your one pager. Okay, so not just like why, not just what it is, but why it's there. Okay, so just looking at one of these examples. But his breath will be burning poison. I feel no shame with shield and sword. This shows older Beowulf not wanting to be afraid of using a sword and shield to defend himself against the dragon because the dragon has fire breath, right? So explain the significance of the quote. Beowulf is courageous even though he uses a sword and shield in his battle with the dragon, okay? It doesn't diminish his courage. He's just using his intelligence to fight the dragon. He's using his resources that are available to him, okay? So give me the quote and then explain the significance of the quote, why it's important, why you include it. Then include a creative border, okay? I've had all sorts of creative borders with these. This one looks like it has just a bunch of tiny little images. A lot of people, they take the dragon and they turn that into a sort of border that goes around most of it. You can also do text as a border, okay? So like maybe significant words, or a part of the poem that you thought was really pretty. Okay, you could turn that into a border. So you can do a lot with it. But give me some kind of border that goes around the one pager. Okay, then pick one of the following elements. You can draw a word cluster. So basically, you give me a word around an image. So like you want to draw the sword, hunting, right? Maybe you draw a bunch of words that identify the Anglo-Saxon concept of courage or destiny, weird, right? And so you draw all those words or synonyms around it, okay? You can write a poem, okay? And hey, if poetry is not your thing, you can just write an acrostic poem. Like it's just Beowulf, B, brave, E, energetic, O, and so on and so forth. Okay. And then this is my personal favorite option. This is where you create a T-chart or a Venn diagram comparing Beowulf with another hero from popular culture. So a lot of people, like in the past, compared him to the Iron Man or to Hulk or uh, Doctor Strange. I mean, sure. So you can kind of compare and contrast Beowulf with like a modern day superhero and kind of see what are the similarities they have and what kind of differences. Where do they kind of diverge? All right. So obviously, be full of color. Fill the entire page with all the stuff. Student's full name goes on the back. It shouldn't take up any space on the front. And then be neat. I need to be able to read your handwriting because you are writing this on a sheet of copy paper. So I need to be able to read it. Okay. And then this is just the rubric that I use to grade it. Okay. So that's it for Thursday. And if you need more time to work on it Friday, you can work on it Friday during class. It just has to be turned in before you leave for spring break. Okay. And then Friday, we'll probably wind up starting the animated Beowulf movie. Okay. So that's basically it. If you have questions about anything for the more specific stuff going into the assignments, let me know. I'll be happy to respond to any emails. Shoot me a remind. I respond more quickly to reminds than I do emails. But if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll be happy to reach out to you. Also, I would also advise you. I'm going to make a day or a video for individual lessons, individual days. Not Thursday and Friday, obviously, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm going to record little videos, kind of digging into Beowulf a little bit, just to kind of give you a mini lecture about the poem, so you have at least some kind of guidance as you read it, because it can be kind of difficult when you start digging into the poem Beowulf, because it's Anglo-Saxon poem, it's older, uses kind of elevated language, so I can understand it might be a little tricky to get into it first. So hopefully watch the daily videos first, and that'll help you before you launch into the reading of it. Okay, that's it. Have a good week.